Raceday.
Wonderful day, wonderful, perfect.
First of all, how did you get involved in stewarding?
Many years ago, my family having been involved in horses and racing many years ago, I was asked if I'd like to be a steward. I suppose it's 22 years ago. And in those days it was much easier to become a steward. Now you are put through very rigorous testing, 10 days on 10 different racecourses, an exam at the end. So in my day, we were not quite as well trained as they are now.
Stewards are governing the racing here. You're keeping an eye on the rules. So how many are there of you? And obviously you're top of the tree as the chairman, but there's a stipendiary as well. How does it work, David?
We have 3 amateur stewards, of which I'm the chairman today. Some of the local stewards, the amateur stewards, are made chairman after they have been stewarding for 5 or 6 years, or perhaps a bit longer. We have 2 stipendiary stewards who are paid officials. It is their career, and they're there to advise us as to any breaches, to suspensions, to, if you like, perhaps like clerks of the court. And in an inquiry, the chairman is obviously in the chair with one winger who is one of the amateur stewards and the chief stipe of the day, one of the 2 stipes.
What does your job involve, just coming to the course today on an average day? I mean, I suppose for any steward generally, not just for yourself as chairman.
Well, from the chairman's point of view, you get here 2 hours before the first race and walk the course with the clerk of the course and agree on what the going will be declared as. Your other stewards will arrive certainly at least an hour before racing. We will, half an hour before the first race, we will have a meeting where we will be told of any non-runners. We will be told of any extra equipment such as visors, cheek pieces that are being carried. Our card will be marked with any information that we may need. We will be given an indication of the prices, and we will then be in the paddock 10 minutes before the first race and for every race thereafter, checking that the equipment that has been declared with is actually being worn and everything else.
There's a lot of admin, isn't there? And you must do a lot of that with the team in the weighing room, checking everything's correct before you start.
Very much so. A lot of that is down to your 2 stipes, who are on the course at least 2 hours before the first race. They will hold a meeting with all the other officials, clerk of the scales, etc., the judge, and put so that everybody knows exactly what is going to happen during the afternoon.
Now, during racing, this is the important bit,
Right.
because then you are watching the racing to check that everything happens within the rules of racing, and that's very important.
Well, there are 3 stations that the 3 stewards, the 3 amateur stewards take. The chairman is always in the main box, which at Plumpton is upstairs and normally has the best view on any racecourse of the racecourse. A second steward will be in the head-on box, which is over there. And a third steward will be in the steward's room with a bank of 4 wide television screens, now quite often HD screens, where everything is looked at. At the end of the race, the chairman of the panel decides which horse will be tested, and then we repair to the television room to watch it, all of us together, and to see if there have been any breaches. The breaches would normally be interference, use of the whip, running and riding, things like not riding out the line, etc., and at that point, if we discover breaches, an inquiry will be called.
That will be called over the PA system, so everybody is made aware of what's going on.
No, it would only be called over the PA system if there was a chance that the interference in a race could result in the placings being altered. That is when the public would hear a klaxon and betting would be held up until, paying out would be held up until the places had been confirmed.
So they will hang on to their betting slips.
Absolutely.
But when you're holding an inquiry, who will you invite into the steward's room while this is to go through?
In the case of interference with a professional jockey, you would have the professional jockey and those other jockeys who might have suffered interference. They will be interviewed. In the case of running and riding, you would have the trainer as well as the jockey. And in the case of a conditional or amateur jockey, you would have the trainer as well as the jockey for any inquiry.
And are there some cases when you can't reach a decision on course in that instance, in the sort of 5 or 10 minutes that follow the race?
Absolutely. We can have inquiries sometimes lasting, I think my record is nearly an hour. in which case obviously we adjourn the inquiry until after the next race or even after the last race. In certain cases it can even be adjourned until a future race meeting where the jockey will be riding.
Do you enjoy your job?
Absolutely.